Pittsburgh is no result.
Welcome to the 3 Points and a Pie podcast, brought to you by the Pig and Pan Public House, Bermondsey. Sit back and listen to a few numpties chat all things football. Here's your hosts, Kyle Coulson, Colby Stevens and Alfie Lauder.
Hello and welcome to the 3 Points and a Pie podcast. We are your hosts, Kyle Coulson,
Colby Stevens,
and Alfie Lauder.
And this week, we're just going to hit on a few different matches. We're going to talk about United and Tottenham, that hat-trick thriller from the twat, West Ham and Villa, and Arsenal and Leicester. And then we're also going to cycle back and, touch on some more topical things. We're going to hit on more on the Abramovich deal with Chelsea and Jamie Carragher's twat comments. We're going to also go into a little more on Jesse Marsch as he's progressing in the league, and Everton's continued plight and where they might end up at the end of this season.
All right, so let's roll into this United versus Tottenham match, except for Cristiano Ronaldo. I feel like last week we sat here and ripped this motherfucker a new one, and here he was coming out pulling off almost perfect fucking hat trick. Like, where you been, bro?
And he'll go right back into the closet right after this match, and we won't see him for 3 more weeks. But I mean, respect, that first strike, what a banger. And to be fair, it could have been 3-0. United basically gifted him 2 goals. So for a team that came and whipped the shit out of us, cheers to United for beating the shit out of them.
Okay, so let's throw up a little bit about this. The fact that Tom Brady was in the fucking stands and then comes back to America the next fucking day, and all of a sudden he unretires. Was there some kind of like alien telepathy that him and Cristiano exchanged on the pitch afterwards? That I don't know, there had to have been something there with some kind of weird energy of I hate fucking that I'm about to say this, of a couple of goats.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Tom Brady is an alien, so just gonna as a guy, if you're married to Giselle, you'd think you'd look a lot happier all the time. And
literally, yeah, dude.
This mail, whatever.
But I don't know, man. I feel like they with the switching around a little bit of the formation they had, they were able to create a lot more versus running the whatever the fuck they've been running for the last season.
I mean, they've been pretty much on a 4-2-3-1 consistently. But
and then the last match, I mean, Ralph kind of moved it up to a 4-3-3, and it worked out really well for them. Going forward, do you think that that's something that they need to continue on, especially with the way that they were using the talent that they have up front? I mean, I've talked about this the last couple of weeks. There's tons of talent up there, but it hasn't been able to be well orchestrated up until this formation change.
I don't think that that's a good concept. I think it was a good selection. I don't think that you can do that kind of formation as United plays anymore. I don't think that you can say this is the way we're going to change it to, because United is fucking inconsistent. And so it's you can't rely on Cristiano Ronaldo to have a fucking hatter. You can't rely on Bruno Fernandes to have a great match. You can't rely on any of these things, but they do happen. And that's why it's a 4-2-3-1 might be a better option consistently. Just knowing Tottenham, knowing where their key strengths are, I think that was a really good action against them.
Yeah.
I think as well, this was one of the first times that I've seen Man United play. I mean, it was defensively, it was a nightmare from both sides. He's not got the legs to do that for 90 minutes. But they played the ball into him quick. And the amount of goals that guy scored, I mean, you can kind of just leave him up there by the box. If you put the ball to him in the air, I mean, he's one of the best headers of the ball in the game, and I think the game's ever seen. So from that perspective, they've got a lot of work to do at the back, but they moved it from front, middle, straight to Ronaldo as quick as they kind of could. And I think it did lift up the players around him. I mean, even Fred, he had a good game. it was a surprise to see Matic on. I don't think he's quite as. I mean, he was never a mobile player, even when he was with us.
Yeah,
did we figure out what a Fred was?
But he
did we figure out what a Fred was this week yet?
But that also goes into like that kind of like rotating 4-2-3-1 concept, like where, you know, because really like Fred is all over the fucking place. So if you put in a Matic right there, like it's like that's a good stabilizing defensive factor.
It gave him a good anchor, and it lifted Fred, because again, what is a Fred? He had Matic by him, as you said. He had that kind of guy, because Fred, he's not a defensive midfielder. He's not an attacking midfielder. And with Man United playing as bad as they were, I think he was trying to wear too many hats.
Well, yeah, but I mean that traditional like 4-3-3 central midfielder, you could see him being that kind of player, like a Gundogan. You know,
I've been really hard on Maguire for a long time.
He's a fucking idiot.
But I did feel sorry for that lad. I did feel sorry for him when he looked so lonely. I felt bad for him. But in the same way as like Fred, you know, you put someone next to him, you put someone next to Maguire. I mean, they just need someone to hold their hand. Basically.
I'm sorry. You guys can feel bad for him all you want. He looked like a fucking idiot when he was out there.
Oh, I'm not doubting that.
But I'll never feel bad for him.
Feel bad.
Motherfucker was 80 million pounds. Like ridiculous.
But he had to go home and like tell his mum that he'd scored an own goal, you know.
Mommy, I got one today. It wasn't for me.
Oh my god. You know the meme where he's like leaning on the side of the pitch talking to the women? You know what I'm talking about, that picture?
Yeah.
I just keep thinking of him like, I scored today.
Harry, get your shit together, bro. You want this? You should get it together or get the fuck off the pitch, please.
I mean, you know,
get off the pitch.
The team needs you. You gotta do better. You gotta do better.
Especially when you're wearing the fucking armband. Especially when you're he wasn't a captain for the national team, was he? Was it Harry Kane? Harry Kane was.
Yeah, I think he's worn it a couple of times, but Kane's captain, yeah.
And now, realistically, defensively, if anyone's taking it's like Stones. That'd be hilarious if he was left out.
I mean, it's really looking like that. I mean, and he only has himself to blame. I mean, he literally. I understand he's trying to hold it down for them the best that he possibly can, but like when you're flopping your fucking hips around the way that he does, there's no way that you're going to be able to get back and defend a fucking a striker or a winger coming in. There's just he needs to be able to square up on the fucking ball a little bit better. That's just my perspective.
Well, it's just sad. Like the only like respect I'll give to that is when he was with Leicester, that was a scary motherfucker. Like he would make runs from the back line up to the fucking front line and literally just pull defenders with him. And it's like, okay, this guy is interesting. And that's why he was 80 million back then. But then it's like, you just left all that skill behind or something. I also do want to take note when straight bald. So like Pogba is shaved head now.
Oh, he went full bald then.
Oh, yeah,
I guess I wasn't paying that much attention to him. Jesus. Yeah, I mean, I know he cut his hair down a couple of weeks ago, but
that's a shiny fucking melon.
Oh, wow. If you need any tips on balding, Pogba, I got you.
Or Brian Urlacher.
Yeah, definitely. He has a little bit more credibility.
I just show all those fucking billboards. All right. So, yeah, I mean, you know, great win. You probably could have left it a little less stressful for yourself in the end. Cheers to you for your second Premier League hat trick, Cristiano. Otherwise, I mean, anytime you have a 5-goal match, that's enjoyable. But it was.
Did you catch? I think it was Romero that after Maguire scored his own goal, he kind of like celebrated in his face. Did you see that?
I did.
What did you make of that? Was that unsportsmanlike conduct, or do you think he had it coming, or there was a bit of ribbing during the game?
I want to say it was the latter of all of that. I
definitely think there was some chatter going on the whole fucking time, because you don't just go up in somebody's face like that unless there was chatter the whole fucking time.
Of course.
But
two kids who knew that from being shit talkers back in the day.
oh god, I love it.
I think that's why I started feeling sorry for him. It after he kind of yelled in his face, he did like he'd been spanked.
Mommy, that hurt.
Yeah. I mean, like, do you feel like Varane is like, fuck, why'd I join United? Like,
I would be in the state that they're in. Fuck yeah. I mean, I want to go back to last week, and we said that having all of those players on that team, who wouldn't want them? But the way that they're playing, I would now. I don't want them right now.
I mean, realistically, individually, you have talent everywhere.
Literally.
It's like wrangling cats. Like, they just can't fucking figure it out. I mean, obviously, we're seeing some more and more good showings from United.
I still just think there's a big lack of cohesion there because it's too many. I want the ball, and we know we have to get it to Cristiano. Like,
well, how do you have one of the best shot stoppers in the game and have one of the worst fucking clean sheet records in the league?
I mean, you got to throw your hands up to that one. You got to throw your hands up to that one. There's no answer for that.
It's an $80 million mistake. All right, and that wraps up discussing United. Just hang on with us just for a sec. We'll be right back after this.
You're listening to the 3 Points in a Pie podcast with Kyle Colson, Colby Stevens, and Alfie Lauder. We'll be right back after these messages.
This is Boris Johnson, hopefully still Prime Minister, and you are listening to the 3 Points and a Pie podcast.
We're going to talk a little bit about tactics.
You have way too much pubic hair.
I held him in my arms and kissed him.
They have to know we're fucking here to compete.
You need to cool that shit out!
Yeah.
Oh, fucking twat.
So, you ready to listen to the ramblings of a freshly shaved madman? As part of our commitment to his integration back into society, here's Colby Stevens' Game of the Week.
All right, so let's roll into this West Ham versus Villa match. Pretty evenly matched throughout the first quarter of play. West Ham definitely looked really organized in the beginning part of the match. And there was a lot of good defense played there on both sides. But definitely West Ham controlled a lot of the possession. But AV definitely came back in the second half and they took up a lot of the possession. But I feel like it was a little bit too late for them. There was a good effort by Jacob Ransby to put on the board, but at 90 minutes, that was too far for them. There was no coming back.
I mean, I just, with everything that's going on, I feel like it always has to be acknowledged. Like, cheers, Yarmolenko, getting that goal in.
Cheers.
Russia. But yeah, like, cheers to that. And honestly, it's another one of those things where we don't really see as often of this player as I'd like to. But Saïd Benrahma, you got player of the match. That dude, when he has an on match, is a force. West Ham, I mean, like, I really don't think they're ever legitimately going to be more than like a mid to like upper mid table. Because once they get players that are worthwhile, we come through and scoop them up. Like Declan Rice is not going to stay there, and it's just, that's why I don't think they'll ever be like a top 4 team or a top 6 team regularly. But who knows? Either way, cheers, Yarmolenko.
Cheers, Yarmalika. There's definitely been a little bit on the trade rumor mill or the transfer rumor mill, excuse me, about a potential Declan Rice, Pep Guardiola union coming in the summer transfer. But we know how rumors go. So he would definitely add to the dynamic of the rotating 11. But I think that there's other pieces out there, which I think we'll get into a little bit later into the show. But as far as as far as West Ham goes, and what you were saying, I kind of disagree with you. I mean, with them kind of being in that vying spot for 4, and the way that their backline has played over the last 5 matches, and even really just all through the season, they put up a really good fights against City. They put up a good fight against United. They do the job when they need to get it done. And that's something that I really admire about West Ham. Aside from that, their fucking size, they're goddamn monsters.
I think for me, with this game, as much as West Ham, they took the points, but it's testament to where Villa are now. When Steven Gerrard first took over from, they were in trouble. I mean, even with this performance, they lost, but on a different day, they had the chances to win. And they're going up against, I mean, a team that's done well all season. And with Villa, I know Coutinho, he's still getting a lot of the headlines and that, but just watching them, yeah, I mean, he is getting back to what he was, and I think he will blossom again under Gerrard. But they play such a solid little team, I know that West Ham, they were going 2-3 up on Coutinho just to take him out of the game. I know that Declan Rice, he did stay really tight with him, so he was kind of limited. And you did see him, he started dropping further and further back, so he wasn't influencing it as much. Mm-hmm. But Villa, from the front to the back, they do attack as one team, and they do defend. And they've got such good, they all know their job basically. And I think that does come through from Steven Gerrard. And, some of the best coaches in the world are in the Premier League. But I mean, I just think this game was a real benchmark for Villa on how they went into this game not as underdogs, and they did play a really good game.
Mm. But let's talk about something you just said, coaching in the Premier League. I feel like Premier League is the pinnacle of football. I mean, if you've made it there as a gaff or coach, manager, whatever the fuck you want to call it, you've made it beyond hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different coaches because they're the goddamn best. So, I mean, when we talk about coaches and what they're doing for, these teams, especially when we sit here and we shit on United, Ralph got thrown into the middle of what was already a shit storm from fucking Ole Gunnar. We have to kind of give the respect due there.
So for me, I think the Premier League throughout the whole world is the hardest competition to win. I know everything goes into the Champions League, and Pep, he's been held up that he's not had that success in the Champions League. It's what everyone wants. But across 38 games in the Premier League, you're found out as a manager, you're found out as a team. I think it is the hardest thing to win.
It is. I mean, it's not just the best coaches in the world. These are the best fucking players in the goddamn world.
For the most part, yeah.
For the most part.
There are some other clubs around other European or other places around the world, even, not just Europe.
Bundesliga, La Liga.
I mean, kind of what Alfie was saying before, just about how, when not just this next week coming up, but the week after that and the week after that, the club you're facing has at least half a squad of national team players, if not City, where pretty much every single player is a national team player, That being said, I do want to kind of cycle back to some Villa stuff, because since the whole question of City number 9 ever became a thing a couple of years ago, when, with Aguero, when he just started being injured more and more often, it's like, what the hell are we going to do? Ollie Watkins, that kid, I have said from day one, I don't know what they'd want for him, but I feel like Ollie Watkins, that kid, some of the goals that I've seen him make it's just impressive level of skill for a young guy and a friggin' guy from England. So it's, that checks off another box. I just feel like it's a win-win, and you wouldn't be paying Harry Kane prices. That's for goddamn.
How old is he?
He's 26.
Oh wow. Well, I mean, that's prime age. So I mean, really
you could get him on a 5-year, and that's a great time for a 5-year.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you're walking in at 30, your contract ends at 31, and that's you're at the prime of your game, and you're probably going to give the best football that you possibly can to that team within that segment of your career. So I mean,
basically playing the ball forward to Son out in the wing, Son crosses in, Harry Kane goal.
Yeah, I think he'd have a harder time taking on Pep's instructions than Ollie Watkins was.
Yeah, I don't think that's true. I don't. No? I think Harry Kane would jump right into whatever the fuck Pep wants. I think Harry Kane is bought in to City, and that's why he wanted that move so bad, because he was like, I want to be playing that shit. I want to be doing what they're doing.
But I feel Kane he'd break up that rhythm.
I don't, just because of the balls that you see him play interchangeably with Son. He could be working those with Bernardo Silva or Raheem Sterling or Riyad Mahrez out to the and having not just fucking one guy to play the ball to, but massive amounts of people who are just as good as that guy, if not better. And that's who you're playing the ball out to. And then this guy can cycle around, and you can just come in and pull in 2 defenders because you're fucking Harry Kane. And if you get the ball in the middle of the box, you're probably going to score there. So it's a whole thing.
I mean, but I also feel like you saying that, Kyle, you're also describing the potentiality of Erling Haaland. Yeah, because that's exactly how that's going to fucking go.
Absolutely. But to Alfie's point, it's just he would play that kind of more of a midfielder forward role better.
For England, I love Kane, but how I see him at City, that's the only role that I see him as that more forward number 10. Is it that forward pivot? Because I don't think he has quite the movement to do what an Ollie Watkins would do and actually feed off of the 3 that are in front of him, or the 2 that are by the side of him. With him and Son, it's a give and go with them both. It's this one touch, one's on goal. With Pep's system, that they are constantly moving into space. They're pulling defenders out, they're pulling defenders in. And I just don't think Kane has the mobility to fit into that unless he's just that linch point.
I think that you're thinking of it as too fast of a run, because even if it's a slow, lazy Harry Kane trot around over into this gap of space, it's still fucking Harry Kane running into that gap of space, and that's going to pull at least one defender onto him, period. And I would say you're going to have 1 to 2 with at least the second guy fading in. Trying to get a little bit of extra cover just in case Harry Kane gets the ball.
Even still, with him being not up to pace as some of the more prolific strikers, I guess you could say, he is the top of he's at the top of the table. So I can't really. That's an unfair statement to say. But even still, I can see him in City working as even much more of a 10 decoy, and having our wingers or even our center mids being able to focus or be able to, go through those gaps, and be able to draw maybe the 2 center backs on him, so that it leaves those lanes open, and you have your left and your right back only touching your wingers. So I really think that him being a decoy could work for us in that way, but I don't really see that as what Pep wants in the ultimate terms of what he what that system should be.
And bringing it back home with that sentence, that's why Ollie Watkins would be a great fucking choice. And we could probably get him for 50 or 60 million. And that would be a steal.
It would be. And especially with the development of Julian Alvarez behind it. So
I'm excited to see what we get out of that kid, because just the highlight reels I've seen. Anyway, we got to,
We're going way too far into City, and we're talking.
We can't be City.
Come on, y'all.
Anyway, Ollie Watkins, this is me supporting you. If City ever fucking do something right and we buy you, I would be really, really fucking happy about it.
Have you seen? Did you see a couple of the goals the Villa midfielder Jacob Murphy scored?
Negative.
He scored late on. He's a midfielder, but he hits that ball so cleanly. Not many midfielders that would either come in late to the box Lampard was a master of it.
God,
But I
that's
mean,
true.
he hits it with power, and it's such a clean strike on goal that he does. I think he's got massive potential at Villa.
Now, by clean, do you mean like where your technique is so like straight through the ball that like the ball almost doesn't even rotate in the air? You know what I mean by that?
It's perfect the way that he he scored a couple of goals, and
I really do want to go back to the whole deal about like it being a good thing for Aston Villa, because like cheers West Ham, you know, like you're saying, Colby, they are in sixth. I just don't think they're going to be there at the end of the season. That being said, cheers Villa. Really, this is a good thing in the right direction. I mean, you know, I really do miss watching Frank Lampard kick a fucking ball like way outside of the box.
Give it another week or two, and he probably will be at Villa. Everton.
All right, so that wraps up our segment on West Ham Villa. We'll be right back after this message.
You're listening to the 3 Points and a Pie podcast. We'll be right back after these messages.
Can I introduce myself as the most handsome man in the Premier League? Yeah, but Sean Dyche is handsome as well, so... Yes, hello, this is Mikel Arteta, the manager of Arsenal. You are listening to the 3 Points and a Pie podcast. So, the guys called me about answering some questions on my relationship with Pep. And yeah, guys, I would say he was like an Obi-Wan to me. Like a Pep Guardiola. He said to me when I was offered the Arsenal manager job, you must go, Mikel, and come back to Manchester a man. So yeah, guys, we do have some contact since I left. But Pep, guys, he is not a man of so many words. Like my phone will ring at like 2 a.m. and it's gonna be Pep, and he will yell testicles at me. Just like that. Testicles! 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 And I sit there and look at my perfect face and think on what could he mean with the testicles thing. So yeah, guys, I guess you could say he is an enigma. And maybe when I'm a good enough manager, which I already am, I will know what he means with the testicles thing. Maybe it's a tactical, I don't know. But yeah, this is me, Mikel Arteta on the 3 Points and a Pie podcast. Thank you so much, guys. Oh my god, I am so handsome.
This is an 81 Honda. How dare you? Damn it, you burger punk! You son of a bitch!
And I'll tell you another thing. Frankly, you're beginning to smell.
Well, we've taken him out back and hosed off his hangover. So now that he can finally string a sentence together, here's Alfie Lauder's Game of the Week.
So moving forward, now we're on to the Arsenal and Leicester match. Obviously finished off with Aaron Ramsdale, man of the match. That kind of says it all, that like a clean sheet against Leicester. I mean, this days it's kind of a little cheaper than it used to be. But it's still not easy. They still have a lot of attacking options, and
Martinelli, Odegaard, and Bukayo Saka, they're getting that, I hate to say it, but that Invincibles, that left to right quality. No, but like that, that's what they've always tried getting back to, and they've been trying to do it for years. They never had the
of
right
course.
people.
I mean, they still, like, the Invincibles still had what, like 30 less points than City's best total. I'm just gonna
not like in a classic sense of it, but this is echoes of Arsenal, what they used to actually be like. Arsenal become kind of a joke. So many jokes. Partey, he's actually kind of stepping up into what he was actually brought in to do. I just think they've got genuine quality there that they've not had for a long time. For me, it was a good performance, and it definitely went a long way for them to nailing down fourth. I think they're up at Liverpool next, which is I think it's gonna take a big part in the title race. Yeah, no, I was impressed by Arsenal. I've not been able to say that for too many times this season.
I'm surely hoping that you're right. I mean, obviously, any kind of points drop for Liverpool in that match is key for us, because this is really, like, I think that's actually the catch-up match. And then next weekend will be even, if I'm correct.
I think if Liverpool win, they pull it back to, I think, like a point behind you.
Right.
But I think this game as well, like taking away the positive from Arsenal's, I think this was another little nail in the Brendan Rodgers coffin. I've been saying it for a few weeks and for a few months. I think Rodgers it's time for him to move on to a new project, and I think Leicester are ready to move on to a new project. We're getting close to the end of Rodgers there, not because he's been abjectly bad. Team isn't particularly good. The team's not going anymore. It's not progressing. It's not looking any better. It's just kind of like just floating there in the middle.
And you have some exceptional talent in there too, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, Madison, like that kid's no joke. Jamie Vardy is 1,000 years old at this point and is still one of the paciest forwards in the league.
Yeah, and you've got his heir there as well. Was it Patson Daka? I mean, from what I've seen of him, it's been really impressive. I just think that there's something. They're ready for a new change.
Well, I really do feel like the Ranieri like times with them, that was like a special time, and I feel like they bailed on him too quick. Like it's like this guy gave you a fucking meteoric rise. And then you're starting to like be like mid-table or whatever, and you're pissed. Like, get the fuck out of here. Give him some more time to like regroup, because it doesn't always work. Like, you just sold his best player to City for one thing.
No, I can see that. I think that the Premiership. I mean, a lot's made up of hire and fire instant results, but I think a lot of it comes back to performance. A performance will buy you time. If the team's performing but losing, you got time in the bank. If the performances aren't there, I mean, we see that with Lampard at Chelsea. We weren't getting the results, but the performances, we were a shambles at the back. The performances wasn't there. And I think that's where alarm bells really start ringing loudly. And I think that will shorten a manager's life long before bad results will. I just think Rodgers, he took them as far as he could. He couldn't get them over the line. And I think they're going to be, whether it's next season, whether it's next winter, I think there'll be a parting of the ways.
So one of the things that I saw recently with Yuri Tillemans is he is going to be up on contract, I believe, in 2023. From what I understand, he has been a pretty solid midfielder for them. What do you see with him coming up with the way Leicester is right now going forward? Do you think he'll stay? Do you think he'll transfer?
Well, you can even play that guy as a forward, like forward running mentality a lot of times.
Yeah.
Especially with the rumor mill that's been around surrounding him for a couple of years. Like, I would see him more so leaving potentially the league, even like going to La Liga or Serie or Liga, whatever. But who knows? But I would see one of those moves happening more than an enter Premier League team, because I feel like after Mahrez they were like once bitten, and like just seeing what he's become with City, it's like fuck.
Right?
Fucked up. We should have just kept him. We shouldn't have taken the money. Blah blah blah. But
it AMs would it be?
Yeah.
I've wondered about him, because I mean he's somebody you see in the highlights and you see the pundits talking about him, but like with this match, he sat the bench. He was a sub. I feel like maybe just not paying attention to the previous match that they had, but I feel like he should have probably been in for this one against Arsenal.
Yeah, I mean, again, like I don't know what his fitness levels are.
Right.
Like, so
I think as well he's had a bit of a deterioration in his relationship with Rodgers.
Yeah.
I think there's been, because of the contract situation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think so. I remember reading their relationship has kind of grown a little bit frosty over the last few months.
I mean, Rodgers is a twat. Like, honestly, like as long as, I mean, because I one of my favorite fucking years was when we stole the league from Liverpool. They were up by 7 points with like 6 matches left, and that was a great year. It was a great fucking year. And like that was Luis Suarez biting year, one of the biting years.
Gerrard slip.
Oh God. Oh, that match. I was actually at the bar for that match at like 2:00 in the afternoon. That was a good lunch break.
You're having fucking lunch at 2:00?
Well, I like to do like late lunches. So when I come back from lunch, I'll have like 2 hours and I'm done,
Feel it. Yeah. And with that, we will be right back.
Welcome to the 3 Points and a Pie podcast, brought to you by the Pig and Pan Public House, Bermondsey.
Hello, this is Jamie Carragher, and you're listening to the 3 Points and a Pie podcast.
Hello. Do you want to play a game?
This is a test.
From now on, you will speak only when spoken to, and the first and last words out of your filthy sewers will be served. Do you maggots understand that?
Well, that hurts my feelings.
All right, so let's get into the Roman Abramovich and Chelsea saga going around, that's circling around all that.
I think with Chelsea, I mean, the news, we're going day to day by reading the reports, much like a lot of the staff are. Petr Cech come out and he said that they're taking it day by day. But I mean, so much has happened there just within 2 weeks. If you kind of step away from the Chelsea picture, you see that the news break, Abramovich is going to be sanctioned. Well, he's going to sell, then he's going to be sanctioned. And you had like the massive media backlash. I don't know if you read it all. Stan Collymore was calling for like the last 20 years of titles and cups that we've won, they should be stripped. So you had like this real knee-jerk reaction.
I didn't see that.
I don't know if it was in his article or on one of his like little talk shows, but he was calling for everything to be stripped away from us for the last 20 years. So yeah,
no, actually, I did see something about that, and I go ahead. I'll let you finish, but go ahead.
Well, it kind of just sums everything up where you get like this big, massive knee-jerk reaction. I mean, unfortunately, Roman will always be a part of Chelsea history. But people forget that these clubs that when they're bought, they're institutions. We've been around for 100 years or more. So you're a caretaker at a club. And now like there's this big stain on anything to do with Chelsea. And you're now getting it where like, there were calls in Parliament, why wasn't more done? So questions have been asked. And now you're getting it, that second layer. I don't know if you all read the Martin Samuel column where he's bringing in, and I think it's a really good point. So Chelsea were put under sanctions. You've got Newcastle that are owned by Saudis. We've got a big bid potentially coming in from Saudis. And there's doubt on whether they're going to accept the bid because they're Saudis, which then puts it back into the politic realm of, well, with the ties between England and the West, with the Middle East, with oil and everything else, how many questions do you actually want to ask within football? Because if it's just going to stop at question one, well, Chelsea was owned by Roman Abramovich, part of this evil dictatorship. So that's answer one. Get rid of him. Well, you've got, and then everybody's circling back to Newcastle. Well, you've got the Saudi owners, but they passed all the fitness tests. The Saudis said that they're not actually a part of the club. They're doing this, they're doing that. Fair enough. But on the other hand to that, we're saying, well, Saudi money is dirty money. So you're kind of getting into that political realm of, if they want to clean up the whole sports washing thing, then it can't just stop at that first question.
Nope.
It's got to go to the next one, And then you're getting into, well, how clean do you want it? Is this going to get to a point where the English government is fine with clearing up Chelsea, but beyond that, it's going to start really hurting the English economy? It's going to hurt the West economy. So how many questions do you actually want to ask about it? For me.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think I just saw, like, right now as the league, as a whole, it's almost worth like 9 billion. The Premier League, the English Premier League, is technically worth, they could sell the league for about that, maybe 8 and 3/4. So the amount of money that like just one of those top tier clubs in the Premier League is generating for just and the community outreach that you're getting, like from those clubs, like all the stuff that Chelsea does, that City does, that fucking Liverpool does, like all these like outreach things that are happening in their communities. If you just yanked one of those fuckers out of there, I mean, you could literally just trash a whole economy.
You could, and I mean, even those local communities that each one of those clubs takes care of. I mean, there's a lot of, or I would probably say smaller clubs that almost depend on that, even from a morale standpoint. And to take something like that away can definitely be detrimental, especially with the value what Chelsea is. And that's going to hurt a lot too, beyond the economic portion of it. And I don't think that that's right for that to happen. And it's obviously not going to, because obviously you have,
that's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. And I wasn't trying to set it up that way, but with what is it? The Saudi, what's this group that's looking into buying them now?
The Saudi
Media Group. Yeah, the Saudi Media Group. And how they're talking about there's no real ties the way that Newcastle has ties to the UK government. So, and they're calling it dirty money because of that. Well, you're making relations with them exactly as you said. We're doing it for fucking oil. So what's the difference in the money there? I don't think that there is.
Yeah, and I think this is where you're getting into. I mean, politics should be involved in football. I remember a lot of years ago, back in high school, we did a book about the oppression in Chile, and basically the football grounds were the only place that was safe for people to protest the government. So like football becomes such a massive thing now, because it would become so political, and you're getting into it now where I mean, officially is kind of owned by the British government right at this point.
Right.
You're seeing it where I feel that the English government is kind of backing themselves into a corner on this. And I mean, I'm not defending Roman in any way. I said a while ago that if there were ties, that concrete ties to him and Putin, then yeah, I agree with it all. It's not going to make me feel sad about the happy times that I've had under Roman. I mean, he's done so much for the club, but we can draw a line under it. He's gone. But you're getting it where the English government backed themselves in the corner, because if the Saudis come in and their bid is the highest and it's then turned away, they're going to need to explain why that money wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
And I think
why I have to take this much of a hit now.
Yeah. And the from like the business perspective of it and everything else, I think the English government have realized that there's so much more entailed in running a football club than running a fucking government. And they seem out of their depth, I just think that there's not an easy, clean-cut way out of this without answering and asking a lot more questions.
Well, I think that's what we're looking at right now anyway, is those questions getting asked and determining how far this is going to go.
Well, and yeah, like just on the games that I've watched this week, you've got, Visit Rwanda, pass all around Arsenal, Man City, they've had their fair share of things with different corruption and everything else. I mean, Rwanda, as far as I know, that's still an oppressive government. Journalists and YouTubers, anyone that kind of speaks out against the government, they're still being arrested. They're still being disappeared. So, I mean, that's at the Emirates. That's it. But no questions are kind of asked. Where do you draw the line at what's right and moral and what's financially beneficial? You know what I mean?
I don't think morals and people, when it comes to money, has ever been a real thought process.
Well, even like we were linked with, and I can't remember the guy's name, I do apologize, but with a Turkish billionaire. I know that he wouldn't be directly involved with the government, but his government is involved in the atrocities that was in Syria. A lot of the other things that the kind of Turkey have done in the last few years. So, And I know in life that there's always going to be shades of grey, but it's how clean do you want football?
How clean can you afford football to be?
Right.
There is an alternative to this that would never be done, but I do like the Bundesliga model, whereas it's 50-1. Like they don't have billionaire owners.
Oh no.
It's very controlled. It's very
clearly because Byron fucking wins all the goddamn time.
Yeah, fair play.
Bit suspect.
It's kind of sus. When you said you were like, I like the Bundesliga model, and I literally looked right at Kyle when you said that. And
because I hate the Bundesliga.
And I was like, oh God, what's he gonna say to this? No, I totally pick up on what you're putting down there. But
Bundesliga is a joke. The Bundesliga is a farm fucking league for Bayern to have fucking good players and buy them for real cheap, enter league, and then they can potentially battle for, Champions League. Like that's how it is. Like it's like, don't step on Bayern's toes, Dortmund, like shit like that. Like it's the biggest joke in world football is the Bundesliga like financial system.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you would say that overall that hurts the league as opposed to helps it?
I mean, the stars that it draws,
you're not creating competition.
Exactly that. There's no competition in the Bundesliga. If you looked at the beginning of the season, like I was heavily watching Wolfsburg. The whole reason behind that is just because I'm a huge Volkswagen supporter or whatever. Kyle knows that. We're both Volkswagen enthusiasts. But
we'll take your money.
Exactly right. But so like, watching them, they have a really good roster, but it's not a Erling Haaland and Jude Bellingham and Marco Reus. It's certainly not Lewandowski and fucking Sane and every other motherfucker that's on that team. That league, and I see it more and more as I'm looking at it, as I'm paying attention to it. It is corrupt. Like, yes, the business model is great because they're not doing all these private groups the way that the Premier League does, but also in the same breath, it takes away from competition when you have basically what was the capital city of Germany. It's the biggest focal point of Germany aside from Berlin.
It's like there's some sort of deal done where Bayern was like, you guys, you can have a really good young player up until they're about like 19 or 20. And then, you get like 2 years with them.
Mm-hmm.
And after your 2 years, you got to sell them to us for 30 to 35 million, no more, maybe 40 if they're that good. And that's the deal. We're Bayern. That's how you play in our league. Like, that's what it feels like. That's like, it feels like the rates that they pay for players just blows my fucking mind. Like City get like bent over.
Some choice words that were made from a Jamie Carragher. Who wants to touch on that a little bit? Because that was outside the lines. Can we say that?
Let's say whatever we want to.
Was it out of touch?
You have to start by saying this guy is talking to supporters of a fan base that within the last 15, 20 years, like he's saying 20 years, right? They've seen more than one Premier League trophy. So there's a level of jealousy where you just have to understand Jamie Carragher is a little crybaby jealous person.
You can call him a bitch if you want to, bro, because it kind of sounded like you wanted to. It was loaded up.
Well, I don't like the connotations of the word, although I do think it anyway. Jamie Carragher is consistently I mean, like, all you got to say is the guy never won a fucking trophy. Like, he never won a Premier League trophy.
Did you find your garden gnomes? Oh, you steal my garden gnomes. Fuck out of here.
Oh, Kyle, Oh, stop stealing my garden gnomes.
But really, did you put him back, Kyle?
Never. Never. Fucking Jamie. Anyway.
But he seemed surprised at the backlash that he got. His comments would possibly only have pissed off anyone that was over 35, 40, that can remember the last 30 years odd of football. He was talking about the hypocrisy of Chelsea fans that are kind of crying over teams circling, you know. I know Man United were linked quite heavily with Tuchel, Rudiger, etc., kind of read the following list that's printed in every fucking newspaper column for like the last 2 weeks. But he was surprised at the backlash, and he was the whole hypocrisy thing. But it's like, this has happened with every big team since year fucking one. Liverpool, only just a few seasons ago, they bought half of fucking Southampton. Go back a little bit before that, everyone talks about, you know, Man United's great too, Cole and York. Well, Cole, they snapped up from Newcastle, Dwight York from Everton, disrupted their teams. A little bit after that, Louis Saha from Fulham.
Fucking Rooney.
I mean, you could just reel off name after fucking name. I mean,
I'm saying Rooney. Like that's a United like name, and it's like
Van Persie from Arsenal. So to bitch about it annoyed me because you're talking about hypocrisy whilst also them being a fucking hypocrite, and then you're surprised at the backlash of Chelsea fans. I mean, Chelsea's kind of like a bit of a wounded animal at the moment anyway. So to have some prick sitting there blather on about, you know, fans getting bent out of shape about what he said, there was absolutely no point to what he said. There was as a professional pundit, there's a fucking million things that he could have said that would have made a lot more sense, that he's paid to do, apart from these little sound bites that come back to bite him on the ass.
That's what I was gonna say, is he's paid for those sound bites, though. He's paid to fucking stir the fucking pot with this bullshit.
What was that thing you were talking about earlier about him about poaching?
Yeah, basically, so the whole thing that he said about was Chelsea have poached. You know, for the last 20 years, we've built our success on who we've poached. Peter Kenyon, he name checked from Man United,
right?
Ashley Cole from Arsenal, and a couple other players.
Right, but my point in that question, not to cut you off, my point in that question was poaching a player. That sounds, it is exactly what we're talking about. How many fucking other sports do the same type of thing? Do you not think that in the NHL or the NFL or the MLB or whatever sport it may be, that these recruiters or these scouts aren't doing exactly that? So it's kind of a fucking stupid statement altogether. Like,
players don't leave unless they want to. That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah,
exactly. People, and that kind of goes back to a whole saying of people don't quit jobs; they quit their managers.
Yep. Or owners,
or their owners, or you know, whatever their structure there is. That's what that comes down to. Player wants to stay somewhere, he's going to fucking stay there, and he's going to make sure that it happens, or his agent's going to make sure that it happens.
I mean, a point of discussion that has to be acknowledged is that fucking in and out door that's been left open for managers in Chelsea in the last 5-6 years. Like, it's, I mean, since Jose was gone, and God, I mean, praise be that you made that decision. It's just been kind of fuck up after fuck up until I think that you've seen some good football out of every manager that you've had, but consistently, I don't even think I would really say that with Tuchel. I think that, like, I feel like his football is still hit or miss some of the time.
You are talking about the man that is world club champion.
Is that a Fred statement?
Who won? Who was the second place team?
You know, let's go back to the World Club champion. Just leave it there. Kind of like,
who did you beat? Who did you beat to get that trophy?
But
Let's talk about that.
Was it some Indian club or some? It was an Asian club. of some sort.
I honestly, I never
Palmeiras,
followed.
I think.
Yeah, I think it was Palmeiras. Which I mean, like I said earlier, like I do like that they play good football. We like to poach players from them, because apparently that's what that means. If you have a good player, we take you.
But going off of your point, I think like at Man United, you had the Alex Ferguson era. At Liverpool, currently, you've got the Klopp era. Pep, obviously. With Chelsea, and I think this is where the kind of pain that Chelsea fans felt at the separation was because it's been the Roman era. Every manager was just a chapter, you know what I mean? But all in all, it's the Roman era. And I mean, it is a business model that has worked. I mean, we've won a lot over the last 20 years. I don't think it's a sustainable business model, especially now where you're getting into the kind of players are costing 80, 100, 120 million. So there's a lot of clubs that are looking a lot more at their own academies. So this wouldn't be a sustainable model going forwards because, I mean, you just done 100 million on Lukaku and you've got Brozier, down the road at Southampton, academy player that's kind of eclipsed him. I mean, even Gallagher, he's a midfielder, and I think he's outshone Lukaku for both goals and assists, or if not, he's way up there. So I don't think it's a business model that would go on and on and on. But that's I think where the pains come from, where it's been the Roman era. It's the end of an era.
But that could be a good thing. That could be a transition into a better business model.
I definitely think it's a good thing.
So you got that oil money coming, right?
Yeah,
if you get that oil money.
It's just how dirty it is.
Sandy, dirty, whatever.
Again, I don't know any business that has ever not had to roll a little bit in the dirt to get to where they fucking are.
I'm just saying, when you're talking about billions of dollars, anytime you're talking about billions of dollars, there's a little bit of dirt on it. Like you don't talk about that many zeros without a little bit of dirt.
Well, money like that, it doesn't just get dropped; it gets taken, doesn't it? Fucking Carragher.
Seriously. I mean, like, I just like the hypocrisy in calling somebody like it's just like that.
So, kind of moving in from Jamie Carragher and the Abramovich stuff, let's kind of move on and over to Everton and what's going on there.
I mean, it's better stated as what's not going on there. I mean, like, what can they do to salvage this season? And I mean, they're technically right now they're clear, but like, who knows? Watford's been on a good run. And not to say that Everton's been bad necessarily, but like,
I think with Everton, it's not just their performances, it's the fact that I got a strong feeling that Leeds are going to go on a run now. Watford's on the up, Brentford's on the up. The teams that would perhaps relegate themselves, make it more clearer by their own performances. I think with them on the rise and going off of the last 3 or 4 games Everton have played, they're going to put themselves. I mean, they're already in trouble. I mean, if you look at their next 10 games, I can't see where they're getting points from. I mean, just reading out the list, home to Newcastle, away to West Ham, and then they've got the home to Man United, away to Liverpool, home to Chelsea, away to Leicester, home to Brentford, away to Arsenal, away to Watford, and home to Crystal Palace. Out of those 10 games, I mean, you could say that they possibly get points out of Brentford. The rest of them, I can't see where they're getting a win from without a massive upturn in performance.
I feel like Everton has like the ability, like it's almost like they're always on that like low simmer, and they can't boil over, and like that's where that's where they are right now. Is they just can't keep a roll and boil, like they cannot keep that heat going enough to win a fucking match consistently. And I mean, they have the ability is the point.
Yeah,
they have the players.
Yeah, they've definitely got the talent. When Lampard went up there, going off of what he did with Chelsea, and the ability that he had with Mason Mount, Tomori, and the rest of like the younger academy players that became solid rocks that got him the top 4 spot. When he went up to Everton, it was going to go one or two ways. He was going to go in there and he was going to get this massive performance out of them younger Everton lads that would kind of pull them clear. But if he didn't get that, it was going to go completely unraveled. Because when he was with us, we were never organized defensively. We were a shambles defensively. I mean, if you look at the goals that we conceded to the goals that we scored, the only reason that we got the points we did was because at that point we were outscoring teams. We'd score 4, 3, but we'd let in 2. And with him being up at Everton, I think it's gone to the latter. I think it's unraveling. And when you start dropping down the league, the one thing that you need to be is you got to be tough to beat. If you can be tough to beat, you get lucky with a goal, but that's 3 points. If you're a shambles at the back and you're not getting that kind of momentum going forwards, the Premier League will punish you. I mean, the Premier League is all about margins. We see that with Arsenal. I mean, Chelsea, Newcastle played brilliant for 90 minutes. That slight little moment, Dan Burn switched off, Havertz ghosted him behind. And I mean, it was a world-class first touch that he did. But you're talking about like 89 odd minutes, pure concentration, and that tiny margin, an error, and it was a goal. And I think with Everton, you're getting into them. Their margins are just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I think Lampard's he's walking them into a relegation, and you're kind of getting into that from a owner's perspective of Everton. Do they stick, or do they twist? Are they gonna kind of get another couple of games in, a couple of bad performances, and Lampard's out after 10 games, and they're now in their third manager in the same season? Or do they stick with Lampard, possibly go down with the hope that he can bring them back up?
I think that probably needs to be their route, to be honest. I think that, we've touched on this in the past. I think it's really stupid to bring in a coach, especially basically what they've done halfway through the season. And because he's not giving the expectations that are, needing to be met within those 10 games, why would you get rid of him? Not knowing what I get, that going into relegation is the issue here, but it's one season. It's one season to show why you're the top club in Championship to move back on up. Why not give him that platform to say, you know what, I really am that damn good of a coach, and I really can keep this squad together, and we can be in Premier. Why stifle that?
I mean, we can all be wise in hindsight, but I do wish Everton had just stuck with Duncan Ferguson. Even if it was like an interim manager. I mean, that guy lives and breathes Everton. Whether the full performance was there or not, he would have been getting 90 minutes of effort out of them players.
Every single fucking match.
Yeah. And then get to the summer, Everton are safe. And then you can kind of appraise Ferguson on what he's done. If they feel that he can step it up, push them back up the table, then fine. But they're safe. They're in a position that they can either get another manager in or go with Ferguson. Because I mean, at the moment, even if just say they 2 more games, Everton fire Lampard, who the hell is going to go there? No manager was going to go there knowing that potentially he's got a relegation on his CV then.
Yeah, no fucking self-respecting manager anyway,
I think that they made their bed with Lampard, and they've got to see it out now to the end of the season, whether we're going to be in the Premier League or the Championship.
I mean, because at that point, it honestly becomes a question in my mind of whether or not Frank decides to stay, because he might feel that he could find something beyond that. But I guess if he's just being tossed out of, I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's a good point.
with you saying that, though, I mean, there are going to be coaching vacancies going into the next season. So
in the Premier League.
In the Premier League. And if that's the case, if he can walk out of Everton and go into a higher club or into a Premier League club, I would do that just from a personal standpoint, but also in the same breath, I feel like I would be doing Everton a disservice if I up and left when I was trying to build something.
Do you think you'll see Ralph Rangnick's little advert on Indeed?
Fucking right. Like that's actually one I'm keeping watching for, like to see if there's anything like getting stirred up about that. Because I mean, obviously it's a weird fucking concept, but at the same time, I mean, I don't know. Jose managed there, like they don't give a shit anymore. Can you be a manager? Okay, come manage for United. That's how it is. Like,
well, isn't it? I think after the season, Ralph is actually going to go back to being like the director of football or whatever, director of operations.
Yeah, like some kind of like I think they labeled it a consultancy, which is kind of like a broad hat. But yeah, I'm sure he's going to be posting on Indeed here soon. How would you word that as a little advert? The way that they do it. What will you bring to us? What are we requiring? Possibly still managing Ronaldo. Find out what a thread is.
What are we going to do about Harry? Is Bruno Fernandes the only player I really have? Does Jadon Sancho he came from City? He wants to play for United.
How much do we pay for him again? How much do we pay for him?
What exactly does he do? But no, that's
anyway.
Yeah, I don't know where to go with that. So let's go ahead and wrap up this segment. We'll wrap up the show. Excuse me. Talking a little bit about Jesse Marsch. He got his first win after last week, where he tied it up, and everybody gave him a bunch of shit about being a Ted Lasso. Well, he proved himself this week, guys. What do you think?
Mean, he's putting his fucking foot in the door. Like I don't really know if we're seeing much of his input just yet. But I think that his vibe, like a Ted Lasso kind of thing, to be fair, it's working in the dressing room, and I think that's what we're seeing out of Leeds right now is just a fucking resurgence of happiness in the club.
Do you think he put up a sign above his fucking door that says "Believe"?
I really hope so, but I don't know if he's that corny, but like I would probably do it if I was him. So
fuck, I mean, especially with all the fucking connotations.
Stick that motherfucker up against the wall.
Gotta believe.
I get a feeling there's a lot more high fives going on in Leeds. He seems like a high five kind of guy.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. And then that win for them, I mean, it absolutely has to rev them up in there. Being down at 16, I mean, you have, let's take a look at some of the matches that they have coming up. On Friday, they play Wolves. Then after that, Watford, Crystal Palace, Arsenal, Brentford. There's matches in there that are easily winnable for them, and they could move up and be a true mid-table team. I really, I said it last week. I'll say it again and again as he keeps going. I believe in that guy. I see what he's doing, and I think that he's been given a great opportunity. And what better way to show that he's appreciative than going out there and putting a W on the board for Leeds?
But watching Leeds' performance against Norwich, the biggest thing that guy's done is he's put aggression back into Leeds. I mean, they carved out so many chances just from being more determined to get to the ball, to winning the ball. I know it's a massive help, obviously, with Bamford coming back, but it was really refreshing to see Leeds playing with aggression again, because that was, for me, their biggest trademark. They went into every game, into every ball, wanting to win it. And the last few months, you've just seen Leeds. They've kind of like they were second to everything. They didn't have that belief in them. So ignoring any kind of tactical tweaks that he's done, he's really given a big lift there. And with them winning it in like the last minute of the game, or the last minute or so of the game, that's going to take them so much with so much momentum into their next games.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, like I said, there's definitely a couple winnable matches in there. I think Watford could be one of them. With the way Crystal Palace played against City today, I mean,
well, I do want to say this. Like, you have to acknowledge that we're talking about 16th and 17th place. So, Leeds 16th, Everton 17th. Both are 4 losses in 5.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one is 5 matches ago, one is last match. I mean, yeah, just Jesse Marsch keep bringing that spice, bringing that extra. I mean, the smiles to the fucking players, because obviously something's working. And if you can get in a couple more wins in there and widen that gap from the bottom, then you'll
widen
get
it up
money.
and yeah, that, and lament yourself a little bit more as the gaffer going into next season, because if you're able to take in 3 matches, go loss, draw, win, and create that momentum, I think there's a lot more to come from Leeds, guys. Let's just put it there.
I hope so. I like them. I like the supporters that they have. I mean, they can be assholes, but I would say the massive community that I've seen hasn't been. They're just fucking vocal.
All right, that concludes our week, guys. Thanks for stopping in and listening to us bullshit about everything that's going on. Do us a favor, though. Give us a like, share, and a comment on any of our pages on Facebook, Instagram, and soon-to-be YouTube channel.
Thank you.
That wasn't too bad, was it? Now it's time for you to do a little work and click like or follow. And if you really got some life left in you, then leave a comment or review. That's me done. Got me driver waiting.